Hello, my name is Jane and I'm here to discuss with you today the current problem that is occurring within the region of Erie in regards to the merger of 6 hospitals, including the largest in the area, the Metropolitan Hospital. So there is a few issues that are currently occurring in terms of the merger, but first off, before I get into that, I will just talk a little bit about Jessica, who is the task force leader in this merger. While I think that she was the most qualified person for this job, she is under overwhelming pressure and stress resulting from this role, and due to other factors that will be discussed later, I feel like she needs more reassurance and more support within this role, and that is where I come in. So one of the key issues that is currently occurring within the organisation is communication. This leads back to Jessica also, in terms that she is being inundated with communication from both internal employees and externally in terms of community members and stakeholders who wish to express their concern or views over this merger within the region. While this is, I suppose, a fair enough concept for people to express how they are feeling, this is really stressing Jessica out, and I feel like it is the organisation's responsibility to handle this and to filter this communication that is currently going on. More on from this in terms of communication is that the organisation really does need to help implement or to create an image that the current culture within the organisation and within the company will not change. That has been expressed a lot of times from employees in that they are concerned that the current climate or the current culture that they have helped to build and create will change. More on also too in terms of internal factors is that they unfortunately cannot agree on anything that needs to happen in terms of the merger. No one is really willing to compromise. This is a natural defence when mergers occur, that people are unwilling for the change to happen. Unfortunately, it is just a factor of business, and unfortunately it will go ahead, and I really think that we need to help support them to get through, and this can be done by reassuring them of the company culture and how it will not change. Externally, there are quite a few factors that are affecting this merger. In particular, there is pressure from the Ministry of Health. They have provided a deadline, which is 10 months from now, and they are quite strict on this. This adds pressure to not only Jessica but the task force that are trying to implement this merger, and it comes with such financial burden as well. So if the merger has not been completed and that the decisions have not been completed or implemented by the 10 months, then unfortunately the hospitals will have to incur the costs that occur from the merger. Jessica will be made to be stepped down from her role, and someone externally will come in to fulfill that role. This creates a lot of pressure, probably a lot of stress, probably a lot of anxiety as well, and I feel like maybe a merger of 6 hospitals within the space of 12 months is maybe not the most realistic option. So whether we could push out this deadline would maybe be a great solution to some of the issues that are currently facing. Externally also, there is the issue of competition. A lot of private practices have now set up in the region of Erie, and this is adding to the, again, the overwhelming pressure associated with the merger. When competition comes into the environment that we have predominantly controlled, and I suppose we have maintained our position quite strongly within that region, when they come in and they offer the same services that we do for a lower cost, that are more beneficial to the people of the region of Erie, it does add a huge financial stress, especially trying to plan mergers and wanting to anticipate the future financial situations of these hospitals. So that is another huge external issue that we are currently facing. To deal with all of this, the situations and the scenarios that are currently being dealt with in this merger, I have tried to implement the diagnostic model or the change model known as the Burke and Littman model. This one is a really great model. I think it's the best suited to this situation. It really does focus on the cause and effect of decisions that are made during the process of change. Now this is really great obviously because we are going through a stage of change, so it is really great to help you work out what cause will lead to what effect. So it really does also emphasise, the Burke-Littman model really does also emphasise the external environment. This obviously is a huge issue. As I've previously discussed, we have a few issues already going on, but in terms of being able to see where this merger will lead us, there are a few elements of the Burke-Littman model that are vital. So these elements do include obviously the external environment, which is at basically the forefront of this model. There is also management practices, which I had basically discussed in terms of communication, the work group climate, which we have discussed in terms that there is no mutual agreements, there is really no progress that's being made, as well as the motivation and performance. This obviously again has been discussed in terms that there is no performance being made because there is no leeway being happening, and obviously motivation is low. So to basically to discuss that further is that we really need to emphasize that the financial costs of this merger will occur if the deadline is not made. Both of the 5 of the smaller hospitals are in surplus, while as the Metropolitan Hospital is in a deficit. We really need to emphasise that the financial burdens will happen to these hospitals, and they unfortunately will bear these costs, and that will affect the progress that they will be able to make, and the level of service that they will be able to provide for the region of Erie. So in terms of recommendations, what I really could recommend to you would be using the Burke-Littman model in its full capacity, really breaking down the merger, where the hospital is at, where the hospital wants to be at, and really compare that to the Burke-Littman model. It really does emphasise cause and effect, and this will help to make smart business decisions. In conclusion, one thing I really do very quickly want to touch on is the 2 implementation plans that have been recommended or have been thought up. I think that either of these options are probably not the greatest for the merger and going forward. I think that maybe we need to find another implementation plan that will help to create a better and stronger workplace, better and stronger workplace. I feel like neither of these are mutually beneficial, and I feel like they probably are not the greatest options that you could come up with. In conclusion, it was really great to chat with you today. I hope this has been, I hope this has been great. It has given you something to think about, and I am only ever a phone call away. So if you just need me, just contact me. Thank you.